I need to start this from the very beginning because if I don't, you won't understand. This is not just another ghost story. It's not a case I can close or a memory I can leave behind. Room 409 is different. It clings to you like a shadow you can't shake. And before you think I'm exaggerating, let me remind you, I've been in law enforcement for over a decade. I've seen overdoses that turn people blue in their own living rooms. I've seen suicides, sometimes quiet and peaceful, sometimes violent and unrecognizable. I've walked into crime scenes where families were destroyed and where the stench of blood was so thick it stayed in my throat for days. But what I found in room 409 was worse, because it wasn't just human. The first time I ever heard of it was from an old dispatcher, the kind who had been with the department longer than most of us had been alive. She told me, if you ever get a call at the old Hartwell Motel, don't take it. If it's in room 409, let someone else go. I laughed it off, of course. Cops don't believe in ghost stories. We're trained to look for evidence, facts, logical explanations, but she didn't laugh. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You don't understand. People go missing in that room. Or worse, they come out different." I didn't know what she meant until the night of my first call there. It was raining hard, one of those nights where the water blurs the windshield and the wipers can't keep up. Dispatch said a guest had called from room 409, screaming about someone trying to break in. Standard welfare check. I pulled into the lot and instantly something felt wrong. The motel itself was half abandoned, most of the rooms boarded up, but the neon sign still flickered, buzzing weakly like an insect. The whole place smelled of mildew and cigarette smoke, even from outside. I walked up the stairs to the fourth floor. Each step groaned under my boots, the carpet damp and sticky. I remember thinking it looked like water damage, but it smelled more like iron, like blood. When I reached the hallway, every bulb overhead was dim except one, the light right above room 409. It flickered violently, buzzing louder than the sign outside. I knocked on the door. No answer. I announced myself, "Police, is everything okay in there?" That's when I heard it, not footsteps, not a voice, but something dragging. Slow, heavy, like a wet bag being pulled across the floor. I put my hand on my gun and knocked again, harder this time. Finally, the door creaked open. Inside, the room was dark, but the air hit me first, thick, damp, freezing cold. The smell was overwhelming. Rot, mold, decay. I stepped in, flashlight raised, and what I saw made my stomach turn. The wallpaper was peeling, stained black with water damage that looked wrong. It spread across the walls like veins. The carpet squished under my boots, saturated with something wet. And in the middle of the bed was the guest, a man in his 40s, pale, trembling, eyes wide open. He was alive, but barely. His lips moved, but all he whispered was, "It's in the walls." I asked him who or what, but he just shook his head violently, tears streaming down his face. That's when I heard it again, that dragging sound. But this time, it wasn't coming from inside the room. It was behind the wall. My flashlight caught something moving in the corner, a bulge, pressing outward from the wallpaper, as though something was crawling inside the walls themselves. The man on the bed screamed and pressed his hands over his ears. I backed toward the door, gun drawn, heart pounding, and then silence. For a moment, I thought it was over. The walls went still. The dragging sound stopped. But when I turned back to the man, he was gone. The bed was empty. I swear to you, he vanished in the space of a second. No sound, no struggle, nothing. Just gone. I called for backup, but by the time another unit arrived, the room looked normal. No stains on the wall, no wet carpet, no signs of anyone ever being there. My partner laughed it off, said I was overworked, maybe seeing things, but I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. I should have walked away then. I should have listened to that old dispatcher, but I didn't. I went back. And every time I did, it got worse. Room 409 doesn't just swallow people, it changes them. I've seen officers come out shaking, unable to remember their own names. I've seen guests walk out smiling, only to hang themselves an hour later, and sometimes the room doesn't let you leave at all. I'm telling you this because once you know about room 409, it knows about you. It's like the memory itself is a doorway. Maybe you'll laugh, maybe you'll forget this video in an hour. But tonight, when you're lying in bed, when the walls creak and you hear something dragging just out of sight, you'll think of room 409, and maybe then you'll understand. Because it's waiting. And once you stepped inside, it never lets you go.